I'm Bob Florick. I'm the president of Acuity Human Resources, and it's great to see some very familiar names on the presentation today, as well as some new guests. So thank you. And for those of you who don't know about Acuity Human Resources, we've been in business 18 years. We provide human resources support to various organizations, as well as recruiting support. And we are very pleased to welcome to our team Erica Frischman. Erica, we've known her for a long time. She's been a great resource to us and a great partner. And what Erica brings to our organization is this third bullet down, the focus on training, development, and coaching. Because again, we've done it in the past, and I think we've done an adequate job. But because of the demands and what we're seeing in the workplace right now, in the marketplace, for just more focus on addressing issues like recruitment, retention, turnover, productivity. That's why we're fortunate to have Erica with us. Erica is a human resources executive. She's been a VP of HR. She's also a very accomplished trainer. She's led organizations. And we know that with Erica leading this initiative for us, we are putting together the best program possible. So if you can jump to the next slide, please. Why are we doing this? Again, you asked. We said, what can we do about some of the issues that are going on in the workplace right now? The biggest issues, again, I've mentioned a couple of them already, things like turnover, engagement, creating that culture of development for an organization, because we just can't go out and, looking back a few years, okay, so we'll go out and hire someone new. Well, we saw this coming. We knew this was going to happen 5-6 years ago. We're frankly just don't have enough workers right now. We don't have enough experienced managers. So going out into the free agency market and finding a solution isn't necessarily maybe the best option, where retaining and then improving the productivity of some of the folks we have might be a better fit. We knew we were going to run out of employees. If, COVID has been a very impactful event in the life of all organizations. But if you kind of rewind back to pre-COVID days, if you remember, it was kind of hard to hire then. We've had this skills gap, and the skills gap just isn't around the performance of people doing their job. There's other things in that skills gap. For example, management competency, the science of management, understanding motivation. And that's why we're really, really excited about putting together this professional leadership and development program that we're going to be rolling out. And Erica is going to be sharing more details with you about taking the folks that you have right now and basically sharpening the saw a bit, putting folks in a situation where they can become better managers to do things like, again, improve retention. It's a lot easier to hold on to the employees we have and make them more productive than necessarily going out and finding new people. It's a very difficult time. We know that candidates are interviewing us as an organization as much as we're interviewing them as a potential fit in our to come work for us. And what we want our managers to be able to do is present an opportunity to a potential new client where they look at it and say, this is an environment where I think I'm going to be successful. So that's why we're doing this. Again, we're very, very excited to have Erica as part of our organization. And now I'm going to turn over the program to Erica, who's going to share kind of the details of where we're going and what we hope to accomplish. So Erica, it's all yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Bob. And a huge thank you to Bob and the whole HR Acuity team for really being a great support for this initiative. So with that, what does the research tell us as we dig a little deeper? 60% of managers fail in their role within the first 24 months. And that's not just new managers, that's people who are getting increased responsibility. Maybe they're changing departments. There is not a high success rate when we put a manager into a new role, into a new function. And why is that? Well, 47% of new managers do not receive management training. We have always thought, well, the best salesperson's clearly going to be the best sales manager. The best technician is clearly going to be the production manager, a great one, right? They have those technical skills. But there's a lot of other skills that we need to set folks up for if they're going to be successful. The number one reason people leave their job is because of their relationship or lack thereof with their manager. And, tied to that, the number one reason people stay at their job is because of their manager. That relationship that's been developed, the development opportunities, that connection. People want to feel like they are working in a psychologically safe environment because, as Bob mentioned, there are too many jobs out there and not enough qualified workers. So I really can go to that employer of choice. I really can go to that place where the purpose connects with what I want as far as the next steps in my career. So we really need to set people up for success. And when we look at leadership development best practices, there's several components that really rise to the top as far as driving impact through training. And the way we do that, we have to provide folks the opportunity to learn by doing. So they can practice in a safe environment those skills. It's not going to be effective if a trainer, a teacher just stands and talks to folks and provides concepts and information and facts. We actually have to have skill practice, behavior modeling, show managers who have now been given this new responsibility of managing individuals, not just technical processes. We have to give them the opportunity to really see what best practice modeling looks like. What do effective leaders do? What are those best practices? Because I might not have had the opportunity to see that in the past. Since COVID and probably even before, we have to think about providing options that are bite-sized chunks of information that I can access on demand, support materials, training materials. The days of sitting in an 8-hour training, a 40-hour a week training are gone because folks will not retain the overload of information as successfully as they will in those bite-sized chunks with the ability to practice. And skill development should really be viewed, if it's going to be successful, as a learning journey over time. It's not a one and done, and here's your participant workbook and good luck to you. There has to be opportunities to have future skill practices, to have reinforcements. This is really a learning journey, not just a one-time training to check the box. So why, Erica, my folks are busy. We don't have enough workers. We don't have enough time to accomplish what we need to do. Why should I take time to invest in leadership development? Well, the return on your investment is unbelievable when it comes to things like improved communication. I understand that I have to communicate information to other departments, to other individuals, so they have the information they need to make their process, their policy, their pieces successful. We're going to teach folks, or leadership development should teach folks a consistent, proven process, right? This isn't, hey, we can each put our own spin on it, but the process needs to be based on best practices. Day-to-day execution, right? That becomes easier when we do the pre-work, when we give people the skills they need to be successful. because I'm not firefighting now all day, every day, because I've set my behaviors, I've set my team, I've set the process up for success. So that allows me more time to actually develop and execute around my responsibilities. We talked about the extreme importance of making sure we increase engagement and increase retention. My goodness, this is the craziest job market I've seen in my 30+ year career. And man, when a company gets a good employee, we want to do everything we can from their first touch point with our organization to make sure they want to stay. We want to provide them with development opportunities. We want to set those folks up for success. We want to have them connect to their manager and have a relationship so we can keep them engaged and keep them at the organization. And as Bob mentioned earlier, this really provides a competitive advantage. As he said, interviewees are interviewing the companies just as much as we are interviewing them. And when we can say that we invest in our leaders, we provide development opportunities with different projects, we provide training opportunities to make sure you have the competencies you need to be successful, that becomes a huge competitive advantage. You become an employer of choice, and folks want to come work for you because you have that reputation in the area to be providing those development opportunities. So what does the Acuity approach look like? Well, we very much are not a standalone training provider. We have learned over our 18 years and understand the full people management process, right? So we take a look at that. We take a look at what's driving your business. We take a look at leadership teams, and we really start with that foundation of a core competency review. So what competencies are necessary, not only from a technical skills perspective or a job specific skills perspective, but what competencies are necessary for someone to be a successful leader within our organization. So we really want to evaluate what is important and set the stage for that consistent competency alignment. We also offer individual assessments. So that is the objective assessment that gives somebody a foundation, a starting point for them to understand where their strengths are and where they might have some opportunity for improvement. Whether that's a behavioral assessment, whether that's a motivational assessment, whether that's a competency assessment, unless individuals understand where they are, how do they know if they're improving? How do they know if they're having some backslide, right? So we do an assessment really to level set those initial expectations. We then develop an individual development plan. So the development plan for Erica is going to look very different than the development plan for Bob. If I try the peanut butter approach and train everybody the same way on the same items, I'm doing a disservice to the competency enhancement of those individuals. So we really want to make sure that we are providing the competency training that mirrors and aligns with the individual and where they are and where we need them to be. So it's a comprehensive approach to training. We're very much not here to do a one and done, but look at the organization as a whole and what competencies, do we have the right people on the bus? right, as we look at that comprehensive approach to training. So with that, the first program that we are going to focus on is a Leadership Essentials program. And that has a couple different components. Really, as we're climbing the mountain, those foundational courses, this is what I need to be as effective as a leader. I need to have those essential skills of communicating, and I need to have those essential skills of leadership. I get asked all the time, Erica, if I have a leader who's been in a position for 15 years, they already have those essential skills of leadership. Why do they need to go through the training? Well, I can confirm that the light bulbs go off, whether we're a new manager or we are an experienced manager, because now I am given the tools, the information I need to say, oh, that's why I do it that way, or this is how I should modify my behavior, right? So that we really want to set people up for success and set them up with a common language, a common foundation to then build on with acceleration courses. And there's a couple buckets that we focus on based on the feedback that we've heard from all of you, based on common pain points and best practices in research. And those really align around organizational alignment, performance improvement. While, the annual performance review is become a thing of the past. So how do I drive performance with regular discussions and crystal clear expectations for my group so we can be successful as a team, we can be successful as an organization? The other big pain point with leaders, oh my goodness, those challenging conversations. Eric, I just ignore conflict and I hope it disappears. Well, that doesn't happen. If we ignore things, if we ignore conflict, typically those issues get bigger, right? So we have to provide our leaders with the skills they need to have those conversations. It's going to be difficult, and it's really difficult if I've never been provided the skills to have those conversations. So whether it's resolving conflict, whether it's managing complaints, whether it's providing discipline, we have those acceleration courses around specific pain points and providing your folks with a psychologically safe environment to practice those skills, to see best practices put in action. So we have gone ahead and put together a learning journey based on those 3 buckets that I just described. And when we think about delivery of training, we're going to provide a number of options, right? There's going to be public trainings, and that's what this calendar aligns with. So for a public training, these sessions are going to run for 3 hours from 9 a.m. till noon. We're going to provide an initial link to folks to allow them an hour overview of the content to get them familiar and comfortable with the concepts we're going to talk about. And then when we're together in these public learning sessions, we're really going to see best practices put into play, and we're going to give the leaders the opportunity to focus and practice those skills with their peers in order to become more comfortable and familiar with the process. So again, this schedule aligns to our public leadership training. It's going to be 3 hours from 9 to 12, and we're going to have it in our Warrendale office. If you come to me and say, Erica, or if you go to Bob and say, I have 6 leaders. I have 4 leaders on my team. I have 10 leaders, right? It might make more sense for us to run this on site at your organization if you have a cohort of folks who you're trying to create that common language for. Okay, so both options are available, public sessions as well as on site at your organization. We're also going to provide some virtual training sessions around specific pain points. So these will run from 9 to 11. People can attend virtually and get the information they need in those bite-sized chunks around topics that we have heard are specific pain points for our organization. So delegating, time management skills, you can see the whole list of topics. The great thing about all of these topics are we have additional information, additional content that if you say, hey, Bob, you know what, we really need to teach our folks how to lead virtually. Can you do a 4-hour session on site for our group? We have the ability to translate all of these virtual trainings into either customized or longer versions based on what your pain points are, what you need for your organization. Oh, this program is near and dear to my heart. So I am so happy that Acuity HR is choosing to invest in a Women in Leadership program. So DDI did a study, and if you're not familiar with DDI, they're a best practice leadership development, skill development organization right here in Bridgeville, Pennsylvania. And they did a study of over 2,000 global organizations across industries. And they compared the top 20% of high-performing organizations to the bottom 20%. And the statistic was astounding. High-performing organizations have twice as many women leaders as lower-performing organizations. And what's the impact of that? Well, organizations in which at least 30% of leaders are women are 12 times more likely to be in the top 20% of financial performance. So based on what you've told us, based on what best practices and global leadership studies tell us, we will be rolling out a Women in Leadership Learning and Networking program starting in January 2023. And that program will include group sessions so you can meet other women leaders within the Pittsburgh area. But we are also mindful of the fact that, hey, I might need some individual coaching on a specific topic, a specific pain point, a specific situations. So we want to provide women in leadership the opportunity to connect and expand their network, but also have group and individual learning sessions for them to develop and flourish in their career. So I'm very excited and look for more details to follow. Well, so how do I offset some of the cost for this? Are there any grants available? Well, there is one specific, and we have other options that we can discuss at your convenience. The WEDNET PA training funds. So across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, if you have and meet the eligibility criteria as a company as a whole, but you also have to have employees who are Pennsylvania residents, there is funding available to improve the skills and productivity of Pennsylvania workers. The training must be skill building training for current job advancement or promotion opportunities. And they do provide training grant amounts in the amount of $2,000 per employee or up to $2,000 per employee. And a company can get up to $100,000 per company as a whole. They do run their training grant year from July 1st to June 30th. So the training has to be completed. So if you have questions, if you'd like for us to help facilitate that discussion with the local WEDNet administrators, we would be happy to facilitate that discussion. So there are funding opportunities available as well. So with that, Bob, I'm going to turn it over to you. Anything I missed? Anything you want to add?
No, Erica, thank you. That was very comprehensive. And again, we're very excited to be rolling this out. And you saw from the calendar, we have lots of opportunities for the public sessions for folks who, again, 1, 2 individuals from your organization that you'd be interested in having come participate in those groups. Please reach out to Erica, myself, or any member of the Acuity team. Also, the virtual trainings, we're very excited about that. Opportunities for kind of quick hit learning in a remote way. And women in leadership, as Erica mentioned, extremely enthusiastic about that opportunity. Lots of opportunity to grow your organization. I saw a recent statistic where I think close to 60% of all white collar positions are occupied by females currently. So if you're missing that opportunity for development for future and current women leaders in your organization, you're really missing a business opportunity. So, Erica, thank you again. We look forward to working with everyone. Reach out to us if you saw something here that matches your needs. We'll be glad to discuss it in more detail. Or if you want something customized, we have that ability as well. We have a great resource and resource partners that we lean on for assistance. So thanks for your time and attention today. Thank you, Erica, for all the presentation insight, and we look forward to working with all of you. Have a great day.
Great, thank you.